Hello. Welcome all, guys. Thank you so much for joining our presentation for the WOA community. My name is Ishveen Jolly. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Open Sponsorship. So I'm going to give it another minute or so, and then I'm going to present to you guys on everything to do with sponsorship and athlete marketing. So we've got a bit of a presentation. We should be on for about half an hour, and this will be recorded for everyone to share as well. And I believe that anyone can ask questions, comments, feedback, so feel free to do that as well. All right, well, why don't we get started? And I am going to present. Hold on a second. I am going to just present something. All right, almost there. Okay, perfect. So, all right, well, hopefully everyone can see this. We're presenting today for essentially athletes on navigating sponsorship. Sit back, enjoy the presentation. As I said, feel free to ask questions or comments at any point. So we wanted to make this interactive. I know it's kind of different time zones and whatever else, but first thought that we had was to just really understand from you guys, where do you sit today? Would love for anyone to kind of comment in the group and tell us, have you ever had a sponsor? I currently have a sponsor, or I'm actively doing brands with many sponsorship deals. And so if anyone is wanting to participate, let us know. But I imagine most people in the group have one or two sponsors, maybe like a footwear company or someone like that. Or you're actively kind of doing many sponsorship deals. And then maybe a couple of you have never had a sponsor, and we're kind of here to help you out through all of those. So second, about Open Sponsorship. So who are we? So Open Sponsorship was created about 8 years ago. Our goal is to connect brands and athletes to create successful marketing campaigns. We've done 15,000 plus deals, millions of dollars worth of proposals exchanged with athletes. And in our ecosystem, we have over 18,000 athletes. About me, I'm the CEO and co-founder of Open Sponsorship. I used to be a sports agent and then decided there was a better way to do sponsorship deals. You can read some of my kind of accolades there. I was also a student athlete during my time at Oxford University. And so kind of understand the need for sponsorship for many athletes, teams, and events. So what is sponsorship? I think most of you know, but essentially it's the ability for a brand to leverage your, as the athlete's name, image, likeness, rights, and in exchange for you to get paid. And that could be, and we'll talk about that in a bit, that could be product, it could be cash. And so really it's a very beautiful partnership where you're giving the brand something, they're giving you something, and that creates like a really beneficial partnership, which hopefully also entertains the fan base, and that's your fans or that the brand's target demographic. So a little bit of an interactive exercise. We wanted to talk a bit about types of sponsorship. So can you name any? Feel free, again, to put anything in the chat if you want to. But we kind of touch upon this because the world is pretty much evolving in terms of sponsorship. And so, back in the day, a sponsorship would be multi-years, lots of money, wear my logo or whatever else. But today we've obviously got digital sponsorships. So a lot of people are being paid to build something on their place something on their social media platform. We have product sponsorship where, I'm a brand, I may not have a lot of money to offer you, but I know that my products could be great for you, whether it's supplements or apparel or whatever else. And so I might gift you product in exchange for offering me your sponsorship assets. So social media or your name, image, a testimonial that I could use on my website. In recent years, we've seen equity partnerships where you have small companies, and they come to you and say, listen, we would love to prove that our product works with Olympians if you use it, and you do a great job, then maybe we'll give you a share in our company. And so very different types of sponsorships nowadays. And then in terms of like the deals, I touched on social. So, I mean, when we were starting out in the industry, even 10 years ago, social media wasn't even a thing. It was all about, we do a photo shoot with you and we put your face on a billboard and whatever else. But today, social means that I might pay you or give you product in exchange for you posting on your social media feed for me. So social posts. Events appearances are still quite common. And so I'm sure during the Olympic time, it's going to be in Paris. There are going to be many brands on the ground who are activating. They may pay you to turn up to an event, to do a meet and greet, to sign some autographs for someone. Third is bigger partnerships, ambassadorships. So these are a bit more long-term, the kind of traditional way of doing things. Typically include photo shoots and signed merchandise and the right for me to put your name on maybe my packaging or any of my websites and etc. And then you've kind of got custom deals, like different types. So payment types. So, we talked about it. We've got equity deals that startups usually offer. You've got cash, you've got products. And then this other type is interesting, affiliate. So this is kind of like product, but essentially I will, let's say there's a product you absolutely love, you use all the time. If you really believe in that product's value, then maybe an affiliate deal is quite great, where what happens is you make a percentage of their earnings. And so every time one of your fans buy that product using your code or using your link, you make money on that. And that's a really increasing, interesting way for brands to partner with athletes and influencers. So how do you start thinking about deals? So we've covered what deals are, but what happens next? And I'd say really that the main thing here is you want to make sure that your brand is concrete. A little bit similar to a business where you're like, this is my business plan, this is my logo, this is my tagline. It's important. You as a person are also a brand. You're a company in yourself. And so who are you? What do you stand for? So, one of our investors is Serena Williams. And so obviously, what does she stand for? Champion, tennis. But increasingly over the later years of her life, she stood for equality, diversity. She knows her role as a female Black athlete in the space, a disruptor. Being in the VC space now, she stands for someone who's progressive and leading the way. As a mother, she's recently talked a lot about, she's pregnant again. She had her first child while I think she won Wimbledon when she was pregnant. And so she stands for what's possible in motherhood. And so these are very strong storylines that an athlete kind of has. And it's really important for you to have that too. And you might say, well, I'm a smaller athlete, I'm not Serena Williams, but everyone should have a personal brand. So I'd love for you to take some time to write down 1 to 3 sentences about, what makes you unique in your field. So are you vegan? Do you have pets? Does that define you? Have you overcome some adversity and does that define you? Is it just about being best in your field or whatever it may be? Is it something about your nationality that's interesting? And so really think about what it is about you that makes you different, and write those things down. So as we said, define you. And then the next trick is to be consistent with that. So it can be quite hard, but hopefully many of you get interviewed by like local publications or TV or radio after a meet. Make sure those things come out. If you listen to, again, let's go back to Serena Williams, she's very clear that she wants to talk about those things, whether it's her VC investing, whether it's supporting diversity, whether it's being a mother, whether it's being a champion. And so how do you make sure that people know your personal brand through your consistency? And so that's your social, that's the words you use, it's the company you keep. If you have an agent or a manager or a coach, tell them this is what defines you. Make sure that they're also championing that as well. So hopefully you've written your personal branding statement down. So the next point around this is social media. it's really easy today for all of us to put out what we want in the world. Back in the day, you could only put out into the world whatever journalists wrote about you or commentators said to you about you. But today, because of social media, we can all tell our own stories. And so I think it's really important to think, do you know how you can make sure that your social brand is evident on your social media? So let's go back to some of those examples we used. If you think that your family defines you, whether it's your children, your parents, your siblings, if you are a family person, think about your social media feed. Does that come across? If you are obsessed with healthy eating, veganism, or you know that you have like allergies and food and diet, which for many athletes it is a big part of you and your journey, does that come across on your social media feed? If you train in a very different way, if your pets we talked about, really think about, like we talked about nationality, and it's a huge thing within the Olympic community, is you're all from different countries and nationalities and have different journeys, and some have had privilege, some have come from down under and whatever else. How do you make sure that your social media reflects who you are? And that means who you follow, who comments on you. Go out and seek people who have seek influencers or seek people who've built brands who have a similar vibe to what you have. Follow them and see what they kind of put out. So for me, as Ishveen, the things that I really care about, obviously sports sponsorship. I'm super passionate about seeing the whole industry improve. Being a female founder is a big thing that defines me. I'd say having a global outlook in the world of sports. I've worked in India and Sri Lanka and Bangladesh, and I've worked in America and England. And so knowing that I have this like unique perspective, that's important to me. And so try and make sure that that these facets of me come out in my personal brand and what I put out into the world. So let's talk about what are most popular platforms for deals. I know it's really confusing for many athletes, many individuals, many influencers. What should I do? Where should I go? These are the top 3 that we see our brands are doing deals on today. Instagram, I would say, is the primary channel, then TikTok, then YouTube. However, I'm sure some of you love Twitter, and that's what makes sense to you. Maybe some of you don't have the time or the energy or the creativity to do YouTube, which is a little bit more long form. TikTok is really good if it's entertaining and fun and funny, and that might not be your vibe. And so even though these are our 3 primary channels, I would say do what is authentic to you. However, if you are thinking about optimizing for sponsorship purposes and you know that you're creative enough to do anything, then I would say Instagram, number 1, TikTok, YouTube, 2nd and 3rd. So what makes the perfect post? It's hard to say. There are some brands who want it to be UGC and however you want, but generally there are certain things that make a good post. And the aim of a brand or sponsorship deal isn't to take away your creativity, your authenticity, your voice, but it's to make sure that when it gets put out into the world, it creates engagement, it's visually appealing, and it drives ROI, which is essentially what brands are looking for, return on investment. So, we've got a couple of tips here. It's quite small, apologies, so I'll read it out to you. But 1, think about your background. So background that aligns with the brand's product offering. So this was a shoot we did for Walmart, the clothing company, for their clothing range. And the background is really complementary to the photo up front. It's nice. The colors don't clash very much. So really important. If you're working with a clothing brand and your photos don't make the clothing look great, then that's not great, right? We do see a lot of this. This is interesting. We see a lot of brands, even though what they want is UGC, which means user-generated content, i.e. your content, not shot by them. Often what really helps is to have a photographer. Now, I'm sure you've all got friends, family who love taking photos on their iPhone or Android or whatever else. get them to take your photos for you. It does create a better image versus taking a selfie, and it still is organic, authentic, and UGC. So this is a great example actually from one of our fellow Olympians. Clear product shot with an activity that aligns with the brand. So sometimes you get asked to shoot product and the brand may come back and say, oh, the logo is not visible, the brand's not visible. Well, that's quite difficult, right? Because if you're holding it, your fingers might cover it. And so really think about, how do I do something that makes sure that the product is clear, but it's still authentic, I'm still in the shot. And so this is a great example here. And then, we see things like smiles. You see 1, 2 smiling. Obviously with fitness, you can get away with not smiling. You can also use filters. Oftentimes we'll get photos into us and we'll apply a filter to brighten it all up. There's nothing wrong with doing that. If the end product, remember the end product for you guys is to get, if it's social media focused sponsorship deal, is to get good engagement. And that's how the brand will judge success. If we have it, great. Another example, we have not only the perfect post, but the perfect kind of whole interaction. We see a lot of athletes, even when they're quite famous, when they do sponsorship deals, often, a brand and a fan might say, for example, to this photo, they might say, oh, that's such a cool product. What's your favorite flavor? Does it really work? Or what size clothing do you wear? Or they might interact with you, or you look so great, or I love that product, I've used it before. A really great way to drive ROI is for the athlete, is for you guys to actually comment back. 2 reasons. One is that increases the engagement numbers. The second is, if I'm a fan of yours and I know that there's a chance you might comment back or reply to me, I know that you're watching my comments, I'm more likely to keep interacting with you, which is great. So just think about, even once the post has gone up, how can you keep driving that return on investment for the brand, which inevitably means it's easier for you to get more long-term deals or get more deals. So a couple of quick tips. On Instagram, as we mentioned, that is our primary channel that we do a lot of deals on. On Instagram, you can go in and create a creator account for yourself. So I think it'll be in your settings, they'll say, do you want to have a professional account? And then you get to see a lot more insights and metrics and things like that. And that's really useful. And people like us who want to work with you, we love having that data, which you can access once you do this. So if you haven't done this, then definitely go and do this already. And so another tip, what's working? Well, video is definitely performing better than images. There's a lot more to engage with. It also comes, you as an athlete come across more authentically. And so I would definitely say, think about short videos. Don't be conscious. There's no real bad video. You could get the gear and the lighting and all of that, but short videos, we obviously within content, we do know that being funny or entertaining is the best, but of course, that's not a prerequisite, especially if you're advertising something quite serious, and just telling the benefits is great as well. And so short videos are awesome. Behind the scenes, fans and the target demographic of the brands, they want to know what it's like to be an athlete, when they don't see you on TV. And obviously, one of the big reasons that we're doing this with you guys is it's almost a year away from Olympics. Such a huge part is what's the journey look like from here? And if you can have a brand be part of that journey with you and give behind the scenes, it's a win-win for them. It's a win-win for you. You're going to get that sponsorship dollars, but they get great content from you. And then I touched on it before, family, animals, fans, and generally fans, or the people who follow you, we love to see, who are you when you're not on the field? What makes you tick? What do you do in your spare time? And family and animals and that other kind of stuff is awesome for that. So definitely think about that. All right, so quick section now on open sponsorship. So we're an amazing platform to help you guys find these deals. So we give tidbits like this away, but the main thing is you can build a profile and you can do all of that, but where are the sponsors? And that's kind of where we come in. And so if you fancy it, no obligation, sign up to us. Think about your bio. That goes back to, that personal branding statement, who you are, obviously about your sport. Link your social media and keep focusing on that social media. Some of you may hate it or love it, but it is what it is, that brands do pick athletes today based on their social media profile. And then 3, think about pricing. I think we have a slide. Yeah. So pricing is a really difficult one. Of course, like, how much do you charge? Now, of course, like, we all would love to get the most that we can get. And there is a difference if you're going to do like a Nike shoe deal, because it's so visible and it's so part of who you are. A lot of the brands that we're working with could be, as I said, like apparel or smaller companies, supplement, nutrients. They're endemic to sports, but they're not going to have the logo visibility when you're running. And so you may have a big contract. Traditionally, your big contracts were like a telecom, a car, and then your sports sponsor, and then there was everything else. Because of social media today, we're seeing a lot of smaller deals. But back in the day, you may have had 2-3 partners a year. Today, you could have 3 different sponsors a month, but you're going to charge less. So really, we see, and even within our platform, if you start off and do small deals and build up reviews, build up confidence, build up your content, it really helps. We've seen athletes go from doing deals for like $100, $200, $300 to now doing deals for like $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. And obviously, also a great way to build your social media following is if the brand, who may have more followers than you, shares your content. So we did a deal with a tennis player, Shelby Rogers, and Birchbox, the beauty subscription service, and they had, I don't know, maybe 20x her following. And so it was really good for her to be associated with this bigger company. So try and think about pricing as like the long game versus like, what can I get today? So we have many Olympians on open sponsorship. Josh, I think I showed you his content earlier. And so I think the main thing here is there are other platforms like ours as well, but really what you want to do is you want to focus on obviously being an amazing athlete and thinking about your brand and the content you put out there and building your following. And then ideally we come along and help with everything else. And so that's kind of really it. If anyone has questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. Follow up with us at any point. Sign up to open sponsorship. It's completely free to have an account, and it's up to you whether you pick a sponsorship deal or not. But yeah, good luck on your journey, and hopefully we can do more of these sessions and let us know what it is that you want to see from us and where do you feel like you need help, and happy to do that. But thank you so much.